Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Oh,
This time we are talking about something that's literally right under our feet,
right?
but it's so important to pretty much everything, and that is soil.
Yeah.
We are focusing on a research paper that takes us to the Jamuna sub-basin in Bangladesh,
Okay.
and their soil erosion is a major problem.
That's right.
And, the Jamuna is a massive river system.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest braided rivers in the entire world.
Wow.
And so what happens there really impacts a lot of people when it comes to food security
Absolutely.
and agriculture.
This paper really gets into the nitty-gritty
Yeah.
of soil degradation and the potential impacts,
Sure.
which are significant, especially for a country like Bangladesh,
Yeah.
with a dense population that really relies on agriculture.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
So the researchers use this model called RUSLE.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Revised Universal Soil Loss Equation.
Oh, yeah?
And they use that to get a handle on how much soil is actually being lost.
Oh.
And what's so fascinating to me is that they factored in everything,
Yeah.
from rainfall patterns and the steepness of the slopes to what types of crops are growing in the different areas.
It's like a giant equation that tries to take into account
Right.
all the variables that contribute to soil being carried away by water.
Yeah,
And they didn't just pull these numbers out of thin air.
right.
They use satellite imagery to get a detailed picture
Oh, wow.
of things like vegetation cover.
Okay.
So you know how much bare ground versus dense cropland there is
Uh-huh.
across the entire sub-basin?
So using all of that, they were able to uncover a pretty shocking fact.
Yeah.
The Jamuna sub-basin is losing a staggering amount of soil each year,
Oh, wow.
over 598,000 tons.
Wow.
To put that into perspective, imagine a truckload of topsoil
Yeah.
driving away from a football field every single year.
Wow.
That's what's happening on average across each hectare of land in that region.
Yeah, and that's a huge problem, especially for a country like Bangladesh, where agriculture is so vital to the economy and food security.
Mm-hmm.
So losing that much topsoil means lower crop yields,
Yeah.
which means less food on the table,
Yeah.
and potential economic hardship for farmers.
It's scary to think about those ripple effects.
Right.
I mean, less fertile land
Mm-hmm.
could lead to even more deforestation
Exactly.
as people just try to find new places to grow food.
Uh,
Plus, all that eroded soil has to end up somewhere,
right.
and often it's clogging up rivers
Yeah.
and impacting those ecosystems as well.
It's a domino effect.
Yeah.
And the study highlighted
Okay.
that the unions near the Jamuna and the Bengali rivers are facing the worst of it.
Oh, really?
Places like the Takani and Kazipur unions in the Sirajganj district
Mhm.
and the Karnabara union in the Bogra district.
Okay.
They're dealing with a combination of heavy rainfall,
Oh, wow.
steep slopes, and not enough vegetation to protect the soil.
So those are the hot spots.
Right.
But this study also found some areas that are doing better.
Yeah.
It looks like the Adgaria Parashaba and Dibatar unions in the Pabna district,
Okay.
along with the Moshinda union in the Nator district, have lower erosion rates.
What's interesting is those areas have some things working in their favor.
Okay.
They tend to get less rain,
Mm-hmm.
the terrain is flatter,
Okay.
and the soil itself is mostly clay,
Okay.
which is denser and less prone to washing away.
So it really shows how the local conditions can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
This really underscores how important understanding those local variations are
Right.
for finding effective solutions.
Yeah.
You can't just apply a one-size-fits-all approach to something like soil erosion.
Exactly. And that's where this research becomes really valuable.
Okay.
It gives policymakers in Bangladesh
Mm-hmm.
a much clearer picture of where the problems are most severe
Yeah.
and what factors are contributing to those problems.
Right.
This can help them target resources
Uh-huh.
and tailor conservation efforts to the specific needs of each region.
So it's not just about raising awareness.
Right.
About soil erosion in general.
It's about understanding
Yeah.
the unique challenges of different areas and developing targeted solutions.
Precisely.
And this study also calls for raising awareness
Yeah.
among local communities.
Mm-hmm.
After all, it's the farmers and the people living on the land
Right?
who are on the front lines of this issue.
Yeah.
The more they understand about soil erosion
Yeah.
and the benefits of conservation,
Uh-huh.
the more likely they are to adopt practices that protect this vital resource.
This is where the study's recommendations for Bangladesh get really interesting.
Oh, okay.
They're not just talking about technical solutions.
Yeah.
They're talking about empowering people to be a part of the solution.
It's about recognizing that sustainable land management isn't just a scientific challenge,
Yeah.
it's a social and economic one as well.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get buy-in
Yeah.
from the people who are actually working the land.
And it sounds like the researchers believe technology can play a role too.
Yeah.
They highlight the potential of GIS, Geographic Information Systems, for monitoring soil erosion and guiding conservation efforts.
What's fascinating about GIS is its ability to layer all sorts of data.
Okay.
You can look at satellite images, soil maps,
Yeah.
rainfall patterns,
Right.
land use, and see how all these things are interconnected
Yeah.
and impacting soil erosion.
Okay.
It's a powerful tool for making informed decisions.
And this study emphasizes the value of open source data and tools.
Right.
That means making this information and technology accessible to everyone,
Right.
not just scientists and policymakers.
It's about democratizing access to knowledge.
Yeah.
By making these tools available to local communities, you empower them to take ownership of soil conservation efforts and develop solutions that are tailored to their specific needs.
This all leads to some big questions about what Bangladesh can do to protect its soil.
Yeah.
We've seen the problem laid out in pretty stark terms, but we've also gotten glimpses of potential solutions.
Right.
So let's delve further into those possibilities in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
I'll see you there.
Sounds good. You know, one thing that really struck me about this study is its focus on the economic and social consequences of soil erosion.
Right.
It's not just an environmental problem, it's a human problem.
That's such a crucial point.
Yeah.
I mean, we often talk about these environmental issues in these abstract terms, but ultimately, they impact real people's lives and livelihoods.
Exactly. In Bangladesh, where so many people depend on agriculture, soil erosion really has the potential to push people deeper into poverty.
Yeah.
Create food shortages, and even spark social unrest.
The study didn't shy away from these tough realities.
No, they don't.
It painted a pretty stark picture of what could happen if soil erosion isn't addressed.
And remember, this isn't just a problem for rural communities.
Right.
The impacts of soil erosion ripple outward, affecting urban areas as well.
Right.
Food prices go up. Water quality suffers.
Yeah.
And the economic engine of the entire country takes a hit.
It's a reminder that we're all connected.
Absolutely.
Even if we don't always see those connections in our daily lives.
Right.
So given the scale of this problem, what are some of the most promising solutions that the study highlights?
Well, the researchers really emphasize the need for a multifaceted approach. It's not just about implementing one magic solution. It's about weaving together a tapestry of strategies that address the problem from multiple angles.
So let's try to untangle those threads one by one. What are some of the key components of this multifaceted approach?
One of the most important is promoting sustainable land management practices, especially within the agricultural sector. We're talking about things like agroforestry, which involves incorporating trees into farming systems, and conservation tillage, which minimizes the disturbance of the soil during planting.
We touched on those briefly earlier.
Yeah.
Can you explain why they're so effective at combating soil erosion?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
Healthy soil is like a sponge.
Okay.
It's full of life.
Yeah.
With a complex web of roots, microorganisms, and organic matter.
Right.
That all work together to absorb and retain water.
Okay.
But when you till the soil repeatedly, you disrupt that delicate balance.
Okay.
Making it more vulnerable to erosion.
So these practices are all about protecting the soil's natural ability
Exactly.
to absorb water and resist being carried away by wind or rain.
Yeah.
It's like giving the soil a suit of armor.
That's a great analogy.
And agroforestry takes it a step further.
Right.
By integrating trees into the landscape.
Yeah.
They act as windbreaks.
Yeah.
Reducing that wind erosion, and their roots help stabilize the soil.
Right.
Preventing it from being washed away during heavy rains.
It's amazing how nature provides us with these elegant solutions.
Yeah.
And we just need to learn to work with those natural processes.
Exactly. But it's not just about adopting new practices.
Right.
It's also about preserving traditional knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
The study mentions that farmers in some areas of the Jamuna Basin have been using traditional methods to manage water runoff
Yeah.
and protect their soil for generations.
That's a great point. Sometimes the most effective solutions are the ones that have been tried and tested over time. It's important to respect that knowledge and find ways to integrate it with modern scientific approaches.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the practices themselves. It's about empowering farmers to make informed decisions. The study calls for greater investment in agricultural extension services, which provide farmers with the knowledge and resources. They need to adopt sustainable practices.
So it's about education and capacity building. Giving farmers the tools and support they need to become stewards of the land.
Precisely. But technology also has a role to play. And the study highlights the incredible potential of GIS for soil conservation efforts in Bangladesh. Now, we talked about GIS earlier, and I'm really eager to dive deeper into how it can be used to address soil erosion. Can you paint a picture for our listeners of what that might look like on the ground?
Imagine this. Using GIS, researchers and policymakers can create detailed maps that show where soil erosion is happening, how severe it is, and what factors are driving it. They can use this information to pinpoint the areas that need the most urgent attention and develop targeted interventions.
So it's like having a heat map of soil erosion.
Exactly.
Showing the hot spots where action is needed most. But what about the practical applications? How does that information translate into concrete solutions?
Well, with GIS, you can model different scenarios. For example, you could model the impact of planting trees along riverbanks to reduce erosion or simulate the effects of implementing conservation tillage in a particular area. You can use this information to evaluate the effectiveness of different interventions and identify the most cost-effective solutions for specific regions.
So it's not just about identifying the problem. It's about testing potential solutions virtually. Before implementing them in the real world. That's a powerful tool for making informed decisions.
And the beauty of GIS is that it can be used at multiple scales. You can use it to develop national policies, guide regional planning efforts, and even empower local communities to monitor and manage their own resources.
That's the idea of open source data and tools that we talked about earlier. Making this technology accessible to everyone can be a game changer.
Absolutely. By putting these tools in the hands of farmers and local communities, you give them the power to make informed decisions about how to manage their land. It fosters a sense of ownership and responsibility, which is crucial for long-term sustainability.
It's about shifting from a top-down approach to conservation to a more collaborative and participatory model. It's about empowering people to be part of the solution.
And that's where the study's recommendations for policy changes come in. The researchers argue that Bangladesh needs to develop a comprehensive national soil policy that recognizes the importance of soil health and provides incentives for sustainable land management practices.
Let's get into the nitty-gritty of policy here. What are some specific examples of policy levers that the government could pull to address soil erosion?
One idea is to create payment for ecosystem services programs. These programs would compensate farmers for implementing practices that benefit the environment, such as reducing erosion and improving water quality.
So recognizing the value of the services that nature provides and rewarding those who help protect those services. It's about creating a system where protecting the environment also makes economic sense for farmers.
Exactly. And there are other policy options as well. For example, the government could provide subsidies or tax breaks to farmers who adopt sustainable practices or invest in research and development to promote innovative solutions that are tailored to the specific challenges of Bangladesh.
It sounds like a combination of incentives, investments, and regulations would be needed to create a policy environment that truly supports soil conservation. But policy is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
Absolutely. We also need to talk about raising public awareness. The study emphasizes the importance of educating people about the value of soil and the threats posed by soil erosion.
It's about helping people understand that soil isn't just dirt under our feet. It's the foundation of our food system, a vital part of the ecosystem, and a precious resource that we need to protect.
And that awareness needs to extend beyond rural communities. Urban populations need to understand the connection between soil health and their own well-being. They need to understand that their food choices, their consumption patterns, and even their voting decisions all have an impact on soil conservation.
It's about making soil a kitchen table issue.
Exactly.
Something that people talk about and care about.
Yeah.
Not just in rural areas,
right,
but in cities and towns across the country.
We need to create a culture of soil stewardship where protecting this vital resource is seen as everyone's responsibility.
So it's about education awareness. Policy changes technology and empowering communities.
Yeah.
It's a big task.
It is.
But it's clear that tackling soil erosion in Bangladesh will require this holistic approach.
And this study provides a roadmap for how to do just that.
Yeah.
It's a call to action for policymakers, scientists, farmers, and citizens alike to come together and protect this precious resource that sustains us all.
Well said. Now, in our final segment, let's broaden our lens a little bit.
Okay.
And explore the global implications of soil erosion.
All right.
This is a problem that extends far beyond the borders of Bangladesh.
It does.
What are the global trends and challenges that you find most concerning? Okay, so we've been looking really closely at soil erosion in the Jamuna sub-basin.
Right.
But like you said, this is a problem that has global implications.
Yeah, for sure.
What's happening in Bangladesh is really just one piece of a much larger and more concerning puzzle.
That's right. Soil erosion is happening all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's accelerating at an alarming rate.
It's kind of scary to think about.
It is.
I mean, we're losing fertile topsoil faster than nature can replenish it.
Yeah.
And that has serious consequences for so many things.
Yeah, it affects everything from food production to climate change.
That's like we're slowly eroding away the foundation of our entire civilization.
That's a good way to put it.
What are some of the key drivers behind this global soil crisis?
Well, one of the biggest culprits is unsustainable agricultural practices.
Okay.
Intensive farming methods that rely on heavy tillage, monocultures, and the excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides have really taken a toll on soil health.
So it's like we've been treating the soil like a factory floor.
Yeah.
Instead of a living ecosystem.
That's a good way to think about it.
We've been so focused on maximizing output in the short term that we haven't really been considering those long-term consequences.
And that short-sighted approach is catching up with us.
Yeah.
We're seeing declining crop yields, increased reliance on synthetic inputs, and a growing number of farmers just struggling to make ends meet.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
Degraded soil leads to lower yields, which then forces farmers to push the land even harder, further degrading the soil.
Yeah, and then you mentioned climate change.
Right.
Climate change is a threat multiplier. Rising temperatures, changing rainfall patterns, and more frequent extreme weather events are all putting additional stress on soils worldwide.
So climate change is really intensifying those forces that drive soil erosion.
Yeah, it's like pouring gasoline on a fire.
And this obviously has cascading impacts on
Yes.
ecosystems and biodiversity.
Absolutely. Soil is a vital habitat for countless organisms, from microscopic bacteria and fungi to earthworms and insects.
Yeah.
It's a complex web of life that plays a crucial role in maintaining the health of ecosystems worldwide.
Yeah.
When soil is degraded, it disrupts that delicate web, leading to a loss of biodiversity, reduced soil fertility, and a decline in the overall resilience of ecosystems.
It's a reminder of how interconnected everything really is.
It really is.
The health of our soils is inextricably linked to the health of the planet and the well-being of humanity.
Yeah.
So given the scale and urgency of this problem, what are some of the most promising solutions?
Well, the good news is we have the knowledge and the tools to reverse this trend.
Good.
A growing number of farmers, scientists, and policymakers are recognizing the importance of soil health and are working to promote more sustainable practices.
And one of the most promising approaches is regenerative agriculture, which we discussed earlier in the context of Bangladesh.
Yeah, regenerative agriculture is all about working with nature, not against it.
So remind our listeners about some of the key principles behind regenerative agriculture.
Regenerative agriculture is a holistic approach that focuses on rebuilding soil health, enhancing biodiversity, and sequestering carbon. Some of the key practices include minimizing soil disturbance, keeping the soil covered with living plants, diversifying cropping systems, and integrating livestock into farming operations.
So it's about mimicking natural ecosystems and creating that closed-loop system. where waste is minimized and resources are recycled.
It sounds like a win-win for the environment and for farmers.
And it has the potential to be.
Yeah.
But regenerative agriculture isn't just about reducing erosion.
Right.
It's about improving soil fertility, increasing water infiltration, and enhancing the resilience of farms to climate change.
It's about creating a more sustainable and equitable food system for everyone.
It's about shifting our mindset.
Yeah.
From a mindset of extraction to a mindset of regeneration.
Absolutely.
And this shift requires more than just individual farmers changing their practices.
Right.
What are some of the systemic changes that we need to see to really support this transition to regenerative agriculture on a global scale?
We need supportive policies that incentivize sustainable practices, things like payments for ecosystem services and carbon markets. We need investments in research and development to advance those regenerative practices and make them more accessible to farmers worldwide. And we need greater consumer awareness and demand for products that are produced in a way that regenerates the soil.
So it's really about creating a food system where everyone, from the farmers to consumers, is invested in soil health.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the power of information and awareness.
Absolutely. One of the most important things we can do is educate ourselves and others about the importance of soil health.
Yeah.
We need to talk about soil, advocate for policies that protect soil, and support businesses that are committed to regenerative practices.
It's about making soil a kitchen table issue.
Yeah.
Something that people understand and care about.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing that the health of our soils is inextricably linked to the health of our planet and the future of humanity.
We have a responsibility to be good stewards of the soil.
Absolutely.
After all, it's the foundation of life as we know it.
This deep dive has been a powerful reminder of that fact. It's been a journey into this fascinating world beneath our feet.
Right.
And a call to action to protect this vital resource.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you'll continue to learn and question and dig deeper into the world around you.
Until next time, keep exploring.